Hi, this is Amy K. Watson. I am CEO and head coach at Career Leadership Alignment, and I'm recording a video today to talk about the context in which we are experiencing a very shared change together. And what I want to share with you is a model of the emotional pattern that most of us experience when there is a new change. And my intention in sharing this is to help you to both understand what you've been experiencing up to this point and anticipate what is coming so that you can plan appropriately. I think a lot of us are finding ourselves feeling a little bit lost in everything that's going on. And I just want to offer some context around that. So I'm going to actually draw here a little bit. And this is a shape that you're probably pretty familiar with. It's called a sine wave, I believe. And there's a dotted line. And where the dotted line actually belongs can vary. I'm not an expert on that. I usually put it a little above the midpoint. So what this diagram represents is the mood, the energy that you might experience from time to time. So it changes over time when there is a change. And right somewhere over here is where we enter the change. When we first discover that there's a change, you might immediately feel kind of excited or interested. You might be intrigued, or you might immediately take it as bad news. It may actually be bad news. So where that vertical dotted line begins varies depending on what the change means to you initially. So wherever you start at the beginning of the curve, that's the right place for you to start. So when we first started learning about coronavirus and the kind of impact it was going to have in our own country, and I'm going to be kind of vague about that because your own country may be any number of countries. But when you started to learn about that, you may have been immediately interested, intrigued. When you learned about social distancing, you may have thought, gosh, I do that all of the time anyway. This is really comfortable for me. It's going to be really interesting to see how other people react. I know that on Twitter and Facebook, I saw a lot of sort of generational comparisons and this idea that as Gen Xers, man, I've really got this covered. I can do this. Maybe even a sense of superiority around that. So there may have been a little bit of a lift at the beginning, some excitement that I get to work from home now. I've always wanted to be able to work from home. Or for you, it may have been an immediate downward slope where you realized I'm not going to be able to see the people that I rely on seeing every single day, or I'm afraid of getting sick. I have one of my dearest, closest friends is somebody with an immune compromised system, and she already has diminished lung capacity. And so she is honestly very afraid of getting this virus because she has no expectations of being able to survive it very well, if at all. So your way of reacting at the beginning was the right way of reacting for you. However, we all continue to move through this, and for some people it's going to be a very large dip. For some it's going to be a shallower dip. I'm not going to get into the details of that too much, but this will give you the anatomy of what you're experiencing and what's to come. So there comes a point where when we're going downhill, we might be feeling afraid, we might be feeling discouraged. I know that for me, there was definitely a sense of discouragement that started me down that curve. You might be feeling frustrated, angry. You might be feeling some despair. Any number of emotions can be a part of this downward curve. And this, where we cross that threshold at that dotted line, that's a significant turn from, yeah, I'm not enjoying this, but I think I can handle it, into, I'm not sure I can handle this. This really sucks. And it can wind up being a very sharp downward, some might call it a spiral, or you might just think of it as a downward slope, but our mood becomes very negative. It's very frustrating. It can be very unnerving, disorienting, any number of really difficult negative emotions. And what that really points to is that at that stage, our needs are not getting met. They might be needs for companionship, or needs for physical supplies, or it might be needs for predictability. So we have a lot of really common human needs that at the beginning here, we're not getting our needs met. And so it makes sense that we would feel a lot of this fear, despair, depression, anxiety, any, I keep saying that, any number of things. At the bottom here, you'll notice that it starts to level off. And when we're sliding down this slope here, it doesn't feel like there's going to be a point of leveling off. But that point of leveling off does happen. What's interesting to me is that anywhere along here, there can be like an off ramp. Those places where someone might say, either aloud or just within themselves, that's it, I give up, I'm checking out, I'm not doing this. So that could be characterized by deciding to avoid social media, or parking yourself in front of Netflix, or ignoring the warnings and going out and living the life that you think you want to live anyway. It's avoiding, it's distancing, it's being distracted. So it's understandable, and it's going to be somewhat common in some form of or another. You may find yourself trying to take that off ramp, or actually doing it, withdrawing completely. But what I can tell you is that if you don't take that off ramp, if you stay present with yourself and with the people who you care about and are around, and by being present, I don't mean being physically together like those groups of 10 or 50 that we're told to stay away from. I mean being present in an emotional, energetic, even mental presence kind of way. Now, I know that for me, when I hit that discouraging moment that I told you about before, I had to really withdraw in a big way, and it was difficult. What I discovered after a couple of days of that was that I had not been sleeping quantity or quality for a few days. And I was just feeling the after effects of not having had adequate sleep. So I prioritized sleep for a while, and that allowed me, despite my need to take that exit ramp, it allowed me to come back. And when you are back on the curve, you may still be kind of low, but then you can start to move upward. And the upward slope, different from the downward slope, which is characterized by all of those really strong emotions, the upward slope is more characterized by rational thought. It's planning, following through, doing the hard work. So in my case, it's planning, prioritizing sleep. It's making a plan for what each day is going to look like, so that I am connecting to the resources that I need in order to be at my best mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. you will need your own plan for how you are not only going to survive, but you can even thrive through this time period. I've heard one or two people talk about connecting with trainers online and working on their prison bod. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I am going to be prioritizing physical activity in a new way. So you create your plan, you start working your plan, and then there comes this second threshold here where you actually start to feel hope in a new way. Now, it may be that your curve is shaped in such a way that this point comes when we are able to get back out and social distancing is no longer the imperative, and you can feel the relief of being able to connect with people again in the ways that you used to be able to connect with them. However, you could probably get here sooner if you recognize sooner through this curve that you're going to survive, that you do need to take care of yourself, and figuring out what those elements are that you need in order to feel replenished and nourished and able to be present mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So after you cross this threshold, then you come out in a very new place. You have acquired some skills going through this whole process. And so when you come out on the other side and you are able to then use a lot of the skills that you gained through this experience, you will actually reap rewards from having gone through this. It just kind of sucks in the middle, and that's normal. It's common. It's not something to beat up on yourself about. Wherever you are, it's okay that you're feeling what you are feeling. Just know that when you can, figure out what you need in order to take care of yourself. That means drinking lots of water. It means getting lots of sleep. It means continuing to get exercise. Nourishing your body is a part of nourishing your emotional health and your mental health. If there is anything that I can do simply by being present for you, I'm available. I'm happy to talk through what you're feeling and help you to figure out what resources you need. Just for the next few weeks, I'm just going to make myself available for you, my people. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Amy at careerleadershipalignment.com, and please just put in the subject line request for assistance, and that way I will know where to place you. My commitment is to respond to those emails within 24 hours, and I will do my best to be present for you. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Please take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.